if you wouldn't mind helping us out a little bit while we check the acoustics. So, will you tell me, can you hear me when I talk like this?
Just barely.
Just barely, okay.
Can you hear me when I talk like this?
Next. Can you hear me when I talk like this?
Can you hear me when I talk like this?
Yes.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? Hey, wait a minute, stop pushing. I'm a human being too. It's my turn. Get out of my way. Eesh.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? Yes, sir. Lord have mercy. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? Hey, baby, don't get upset. We're going to make the deal. Your people will talk to my people. So what if you got to show a little skin? You got plenty of it. Trust me, baby. Trust me.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? Swanee, how I love you, my. Oh, you want something with more of that special Negro quality. Summer time. Oh, something sexy. A spiritual? Dance? Well, what you want, you know I've got it.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? The pound of flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought, and I shall have it.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? It's time to share your love for God. Don't bring me no tinkling change. I want to hear the soft, sweet flutter of greenback dollar bills. Come on, come on.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? Oh, I far prefer a Sauvignon to a Chardonnay. Do you remember that great wine we had in Provence? It was a white Bordeaux. I know, I kept the label. Oh, it was just heaven.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? I don't like white people at all. And I can't stand a Jew. These with a cracker, you know where they be coming from.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? I have had it. You cannot work with them. They hate everybody. Jews, Koreans, Arabs. They can't get ahead, and they're just pissed at everyone who can.
Can you hear me when I talk like this? You got any change, please, ma'am?
I'll just pretend that I can't hear him.
All I need is 80 cents. I'm trying to get in the mission.
I'm awfully sorry.
80 cents.
I don't have any change.
Going to the mission, ma'am, please, ma'am.
Look, I said I don't have any change.
80 cents is all I need.
Now look, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to have to call the police.
Can you hear me?
Please.
Can you hear me?
Please.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, John, can you hear me? I tell you, these collaborations are trials of the soul.
Oh, no, you wouldn't believe how hard it is. Listen, we'll give you an example.
Look, John, I don't think you understand how little time we have to create this piece.
Oh, Naomi, would you please stop worrying about time? First thing we need to do is get our mission statement straightened out.
No, John. No more mission statement stuff. Come on, we're trying to create a theater piece, not a political party. And anyhow, we have one. We worked on it for 3 weeks last year.
And came up with 3 of them. Hers, our director Steve's, and mine.
What? We agreed it was a 3-part statement.
Oh, no, Naomi. See, you think we agreed. I'm still thinking about it.
Well, I don't want to think about it any longer. I want us to get up on our feet, improvise, do something active.
If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
Think about it, Naomi.
Oh, John.
Just think about it.
I don't understand this mission statement stuff. How can you know ahead of time what the piece is going to be about? It's the material that's got to lead you there.
Now, do y'all see the problem we're dealing with here? We're coming from 2 entirely different directions. Look, we have to do something to get on the same beam.
Beam, shmeem. John, I've got it. I've got it. I really got it.
What? You got what?
We don't agree, right? Right?
Oh, that's clear.
Okay, well, that's what the piece can be about.
What?
We don't agree, yet we're hanging in there, and we're working on it together.
Now,
and by the way, that is a perfect mission statement.
But
Great.
Naomi, for what purpose?
To create a theater piece.
And what about the audience?
John,
what do you want them to do as a result of this theater
time
piece?
for all of this quibbling.
We have all the time we need to get it right.
That's great. That's really great. 12 years from now, we're going to have this glorious mission statement and not know what the hell we're doing. Do you want to get up on this stage and act a mission statement? Time is running out. What are you doing? John, what are you doing?
I'm centering, Naomi. I'm centering.
Centering. How long does that take?
Naomi, my grandfather told me something that I think might be helpful to us in
We
this
could use it.
moment of impasse.
Okay.
Papa, that's what we call it. He used to say, son, what's with all this rushing? At the end of the road is the grave, and it's going to be there no matter how soon you go about getting to it.
Wow, my grandmother said exactly the opposite. She said, hurry up, grab a hold of every single minute, because if you don't, by the time you get the hang of what it is to be alive, you're dead. Oh, that's nice. Yay, day, day, yay, day, day, day. Yay, day, day, day. Yay, day, day, yay, day, day, day. Yay, day, 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 day. Yay, day, 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 day. Boom, 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 boom. Yay, day, 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 day. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yay, day, 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 day. Yay, day, 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 day. Yay, day, day, day. Havana Killa, Havana Killa, Havana.
My grandmother told me once, she told me 1,000 times, you just as good as anybody, baby, and don't you forget that.
Wow, that sounds a lot like the shofar in synagogue on Rosh Hashanah.
Fried fish,
corned beef,
fried chicken,
pastrami,
mashed potatoes,
chopped liver,
smothered liver, and lots of onions,
with
and
matzo balls,
and cornbread, and
knedler,
collard greens,
smoked fish,
boiled cabbage,
fish, lox, and
barbecue,
bagels,
and potato salad,
potato salad,
coleslaw, and bread and butter pickles, and
dill pickles,
white soup beans, and
blintzes,
and black-eyed peas and rice, and okra and tomatoes, and gumbo, and rib tips, and rice, and lots of gravy. Woo, just dribbling all down the side.
And listen, whatever you're eating, a little sour cream on top,
till
it
I
doesn't
want
hurt.
No more. The way to my heart is through my stomach. Now,
when I was a little girl growing up in Detroit, I thought the whole world was Jewish. My parents and all their friends were immigrants. We spoke Yiddish. We sang Yiddish songs. But when I was in the 3rd grade, we moved to a little town outside of Detroit where there were only a handful of Jews. Well, one day, I was coming home from school when this little boy jumped in front of me. "You're not an American." "Yes, I am. I am so." "No, you're not. You can't be. You're a Jew." I didn't have the heart to tell my parents. They were so proud of being Americans. But you know, from that time on, I never really was sure I was an American.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my father died,
land of the Pilgrim's pride.
When I was in about the 5th grade, my daddy did something made me real proud. Made a speech on the radio for National Negro History Week. Well, all I can remember from that speech right now is that Daddy, he quoted from Thomas Jefferson. He said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And then Daddy paused and said, "But the great Virginian held slaves." It wasn't long after that speech on the radio that the head of the local NAACP had a cross burned on his front yard. He left town soon after that. I remember wondering, are they going to come and burn a cross on our front yard?
Oy vey, there's just too much suffering. Oh, wait a minute. What did my mother always say? Oh yes, she said, take the big problems and make small ones out of them. Take the small ones and make tiny ones. And from the tiny ones, make nothing.
Just as good as anybody, baby, and don't you forget that.
Well, I was raised as a socialist kid. All people are equal. But I still had white privilege. The only black people I knew were the maids who worked for us. So my mother could work in the furniture business with my father 12 hours a day. We called them mother's helpers. We took our meals together. We did the dishes together, except for my father, of course. My parents sometimes referred to them as Schwarzes, the Yiddish word for black people. Well, my sister and I didn't like that, and when we confronted them, they absolutely insisted it was not a pejorative word, and they would never use the word nigger. Oh yes, and there were the fellows who drove the truck and loaded and unloaded the furniture. These people were at the foundation of our lives, and yet we never entered theirs. And as a kid, I didn't even wonder about it. I thought it was natural.
It's all right.
Nice.
You got
work
soul.
if you can
Everybody knows
and you can
that
get
it's all right.
if you
Hey,
try.
it's all right.
Holding hands at night.
Dancing in the living room to soft blue lights or soft red lights or next to no light at all. Grinding on a dime and getting 9 cents change.
Listen, would it hurt you if you dated a Jewish boy just once? Just for the novelty of it? Strolling with that one guy.
By the time we got old enough to be interested in sex, all the white kids quit coming over to our house to play. We never had gone to theirs. But it's all
When we got to be adolescents, my parents started worrying. Then one time, my sister was invited to a birthday party in a bar. Well, that was just too much assimilation for my parents to handle. We moved right back to Detroit.
It's all right.
Loving one
It's all right. The rules of segregation were beginning to become clear.
Nice work.
Well, if you're white,
And if you get it,
you're all right. As you're brown, stick around. But as you're black,
how'd you show me?
oh brother,
Show me how.
get back, get back, get back, get back. Yeah. Now, the only Jew that I can remember knowing anything about when I was growing up was Dr. Weinberger. He would treat colored people, but he kept a segregated waiting room. At church, we had lots of stories about the downtrodden and oppressed children of Israel. their righteous rage in the heroes, Joshua in the battle of Jericho, and Daniel in the lion's den, David and Goliath. Somehow these stories of their heroes seemed almost as important as our own. These things got me to thinking, well, maybe Jews aren't as bad as other white people.
Every Passover, year after year, we're reminded that we were slaves in Egypt and how we were freed from bondage. I still get a thrill at the Seder when we lift up the matzah and say, "This is the bread of affliction our ancestors ate in Egypt. May all who are hungry come and eat. May all who are in need come and share our Passover."
I used to hate going to church on first Sunday. That's when we had altar calls, the Lord's Supper, and time to testify. All the time I would be sitting there wondering, how come God is supposed to be a white man?
I always wondered, how come God's supposed to be a man? Well, we didn't talk too much about God when I was a kid growing up. We celebrated the Jewish holidays at home in a secular, historical way. And on Shabbos, on the Sabbath, instead of going to synagogue, we went to Littman's People's Yiddish Theater. Oh, but you know what, John?
What?
The heroes that I remember from my childhood, they were all African American.
Well, you don't say.
Honestly, Joe Louis, Paul Robeson, Marian Anderson.
Well, I'll be.
Yeah. Well, but in truth, my parents' most favorite singer, Kate Smith.
Now, she was not black.
No, she wasn't. Do any of you remember Kate Smith? Yes? I think my parents thought she was the singing Statue of Liberty. God bless America, land that
She got
I love. Stand.
My father and a bunch of other young black men were standing at this abandoned railroad site waiting for the troop train to come pick them up and take them to the big city for their physical examinations. Well, it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and very cold, and one of the guys noticed that there was a cafe across the street that was still open. Hey, y'all, come on, let's go over there and have a cup of coffee, maybe wait inside. Well, you boys, y'all, well, I'll give you a cup of coffee, but you're going to have to take it outside. You can't drink it in here. But it's cold out there, man. And we about to get drafted. Well, I don't care. You can't drink it in here, and that's just all there is to it. As they went back outside in the bitter cold without coffee, my dad said he could remember thinking, so we're good enough to go away and fight against the Nazis, maybe even get killed for this country. Yet we're not good enough to sit down and have a cup of coffee right here in our own hometown. America, America, God shed his grace on me, and crowned I good with May your days be merry.
I can't. Listen, I tell you, if I hear another Christmas carol, I am going to puke. These are not my holy days. When my kids miss school for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, they're marked absent. If there is a secular school in Christian America, then I am the Pope's mother.
We take more shit than anybody. Anybody else been done with this shit a long time ago.
We are survivors. Over the years, civilizations, they come, they go, but the Jews, we are still here.
Yeah, you see this here depression y'all got coming now? Look here, it ain't gonna bother us none. We ain't never had nothing to begin with. See, we know how to do without.
We know how to make something out of nothing. We take nothing, we put it in the ground, and something will come up.
I am so broke. I have to go outside just to change my mind. If I ever get my hand on $1 again, I'm going to hold on to it till the eagle grins.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. You know, I only wish that Jews had as much power as they say we do. Come on now. If we controlled the banks and the media, it would be a fairer and a much funnier world.
Bada boom.
All right. So this little Jewish lady, she goes all the way to India. She waits 2 whole years to see the guru. Finally, it's her turn. She gets in line with thousands and thousands of devotees. Hours later, she gets in front of the guru, and they say to her, "Lady, you can only say 3 words. Thank you very much, I understand. Remember, only 3 words. I said, I understand. So she bends down, and she puts down her fruit, and she puts down her flowers, and she kisses the guru's feet. Then she looks up at the guru and she says, "Sheldon, come home."
Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Oh, that is so fascinating.
Yes, yes,
very fascinating. I wonder if you would tell our viewers just a little bit more about your your unusual religious persuasion.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, you see, I am ordained to the Baptist ministry, and I'm also a practicing rabbi. A Baptist rabbi, you might say. A babbi, so to speak. Yes, yes. Well, you see, we are sitting here this evening in the context of a very serious problem. Very serious problem. Yes. What we have is some Jews and some blacks. They just practically at each other's throats.
I see.
What we have to do is to get those Jews to see things from more or less a Baptist point of view.
I see.
And get those blacks to see things from a Jewish theological perspective.
I see.
And when we get to this condition...
Babbi, just a minute.
Yeah.
What point of view do you actually see it from?
Moi?
Yes. Yes, toi.
Well, you see, some of my friends are Jews.
Okay.
And some of my friends are Baptists.
Baptists, right? Okay.
Me, I am 100% for my friends. Yes, you see, there's no such thing as a problem without a solution.
I see.
So if you have no solution, by definition, what you started with was no problem. No problem.
No problem. Thank you very much. Get out of here. Oh, boy.
There are 2 towns on the Potomac River in one place. Washington, D.C. is where they run the government of the United States of America from. But 80% of the people there live in a place called Chocolate City. People who go to Washington, D.C. to do business with the government of the United States of America seldom see Chocolate City or even know that it exists.
When I find myself in these neighborhoods, I have to roll up my windows and lock my doors. I can't help it. I get scared. They're just so violent.
There's blood on the moon tonight. Somebody's bound to be leaving this world soon.
I dreamed that I was having a house built in this enormous vacant lot where there was no sign of anything green growing. But the house was coming out peculiarly like a prison, with hard lines, huge cement blocks, and this ridiculously tall tower. Nonetheless, in the dream, I'm giving a party to celebrate its construction. I think we'll just put the tables right over here. Yes,
thank you, that'll be fine. Oh, but then everything starts going haywire. The menu is a mess. The waiters are serving the food before the guests arrive. And then I notice a lot of rabbis are coming together, and they're talking and praying, oblivious to everyone else. Well, I look up, and in the distance I see hundreds of men in uniforms wearing gas masks. They're spraying lethal defoliants and insecticides. Well, I can't understand. What are they trying to kill in this already desolate landscape? And I realize that they're bearing down on us. I run to the rabbis for help. Please. Oh, but I can't get them to hear me. So alone, I run towards the men, screaming for them to stop. But they keep coming, and in the dream, I realize I can't possibly stop them alone. The best I can do is slow them down a little. So I keep running towards the men, screaming at the top of my lungs, "Go back! Go back! You can't do this! No! No! You can't do this!"
My esteemed colleagues, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to address this august body on the question, how come there's so much tension between the blacks and Jews? Well, the first thing that one must understand is that people make their decisions about what they're going to do based upon the consideration of their own self-interest. Look out for number one. See, that's the first law of human nature. The second thing that you have to figure out and understand is, well, what has been happening since the Second World War. During this time, the Jewish Americans, due perhaps to the fact that anti-Semitism is not quite so bad in this country as it is in Europe, the Jewish Americans have become largely an upper-income population. At the same time, what has become of the African Americans? Well, some small percentage have also moved into this upper income category. But the vast majority of black people are now worse off than they were before. See, the gap between black people and white people is growing. So black people feel like they have been abandoned by people who were once thought of as friends, perhaps even allies. So they're pissed off. I mean, at everybody. It really does not have that much to do with the Jew per se. But no, but don't mention Israel. No, 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 no. Here, this one little country comprised of about 5 million of people, dominated by the Europeans. Israel, a country plopped down in the middle of Palestine. Israel, a country which has always supported white South Africa. Israel, a country which gets 3 times more in trade and aid from the United States of America than the whole of the 400 millions of black people in black Africa. You damn right people are pissed off. And I tell you what, my friends, it's very likely to get worse before it gets better.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is time that we at this conference began to face some difficult facts. The problem we are having today is that African Americans are taking their legitimate anger, and we know it is legitimate, and misdirecting it at another oppressed people. We are hearing from them, our traditional allies, the same vile stereotypes that come from the far right, the neo-Nazis, and the Klan. Why, anti-Semitism is running wild in the African American community. And who is cracking the whip? Some of their leaders and teachers. Now they are singing the old Blame the Jew tune, this time with a new black beat. Now Jews are blamed for apartheid, the slave trade, and for black poverty in America. Why, even my learned colleague cannot refrain from presenting Jews as monolithically affluent, when the fact is that 45% of American Jewry is working class, and thousands are living below the poverty line, mainly old people and women. And now let us look at what is happening in campuses in these United States today. Can you believe that there are educated African Americans who are saying that the protocols of the elders of Zion have validity? Well, the protocols of the elders of Zion was the basis of Hitler's Mein Kampf. This fictitious document claims to prove that the 12 tribes of Israel gathered together in a cemetery with the devil and devised a plan to overtake and rule the world. Now, how can anyone in their right mind believe such preposterous nonsense? And what are we Jews supposed to do with that brand of racism? And now, for the most painful part of all, it is clear that many of our African American friends do not understand what Israel means, what Zionism means to me and to millions of Jews around the world. It means survival. It means a home we can escape to when our time is running out, like right now in Russia and the Ukraine. I know it has become exceedingly unfashionable, but I stand before you today and I say I am a Zionist. And that does not make me an imperialist. And it does not make me a racist.
You don't understand what it's like. No, you don't understand. 400 years of legalized terror. No rights at all that white people are obliged to respect.
Now, wait a minute.
No,
you don't understand that every time we hear an anti-Semitic remark, our blood freezes.
You don't understand what it's like when they can walk into your house, walk out with your family, and you can't protect them, not even with your life. No, you don't understand
that history has proven just enough anti-Semitism, and my family, my whole community is pushed into cattle cars and riding the rail, this time to Detroit or San Francisco, where the gas chambers are.
When are you going to stop whining about the Holocaust?
When are you going to stop whining about slavery?
Oh, come on. Every time you sit down to study our history, every time without fail, you will find the Jew.
Where? I have never found the Jew in any history book. Because you see, the Jew is never identified as a Jew, but as a Pole, an Armenian, a Frenchman.
Before I can get my thesis on the floor, you see what
Well, I have my thesis. I was trying to get my thesis on the floor.
No. The fact is, I was talking, and you interrupted me, and what happened?
Oh.
Yeah, I was talking.
I interrupted you?
Yeah, I was talking.
Oh, my God. A woman interrupted a man. Quick, somebody out there, dial 911.
What?
Go ahead. Get your thesis on the floor.
Before I can get my thesis on the floor, she's talking woman.
Go ahead. Well, go ahead. All right, I'll wait. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay.
Every time you sit down to study our history, every time you're going to find a Jew. You got Aptheker, Bernal, Zen, Meyer, Herskovitz, they all Jews. You got Engels the Jew. You got Marx the Jew.
Freud, don't forget Freud.
Wait a minute, what has Freud got to do with it? I'm talking about African and African American history.
Sorry, I thought we were counting famous Jews. Excuse me. Go ahead.
What about all those great African and African American scholars like Johnson, Woodson, Du Bois, Diop, Van Sertima? See, the Jew think they know more about you than you know about yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Well, wait a minute. Listen, come on now. Scholarship is part of the Jewish tradition. I'm not ashamed of that. And by the way, I would love to know when it became such a crime for Jews to take an interest in African American history.
All right. I will give you a little bit of credit. They got
How much?
What?
How much credit?
I would say about that much.
Forget it.
They got some Jews that will study. They will study till their little eyes fall out. Study and teach. The Jew will tell you who you are.
Whoa.
The Jew wants to be the author to your history.
Wait a minute.
Understand what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. If we didn't have these books, what would we know?
What do we know? When all we think we know about African and African American history, we got out of some book written by some European, and you can go all the way back to Herodotus to see that. So you're talking about what you can get out of these books. I'm trying to bring the conversation to consideration of the primary source.
The primary source? Well, that's what I'm interested in. The primary source. Okay, lead me to the primary source.
I am trying.
Okay, go.
I am talking about the African man. That's the consideration of the primary. I am talking about the African man.
Did you hear what he said? I mean, can you believe what he said? I cannot believe it.
The original man is the African man. That's
listen. The original human being was a woman.
What?
A woman. Lucy, you remember that? They called her Lucy. I believe that is a woman.
What? Are you going to make the claim that she was a Jew too? Is that the point?
Well, maybe. Maybe, but we'll never know, will we? Because all the history we think we know was written by men about men.
Oh, well, irregardless of all that, she was an African.
Yes, she was.
Now, oh, look. She's always trying to run off with the last word.
No, he is.
My people did not choose to come to this country bound in chains. My people did not choose to raise the wealth of the Western world on their backs as slaves. Most people do not know the glory that was ancient Africa, land that gave birth to all humankind. Most people do not know the horrors of the Middle Passage and slavery, trade in human flesh for selfish gain.
My people, we be doggone people. We African people. Africa, the place I come from. By the white top hill, by the dum-dum tree. I come from that place. When they caught my people and carried us in chains to the sea, I cry, but I get used to it. When they fed my people to the belly of the ship, so big on the sea, and locked them down in chains, my mother cried out, and I cried harder still. But I get used to it. When the belly of the ship that bested the sea growed slick with shit and stink and puke from people dead already, and my mother growed sick and died, they would not let small me go be with my mother to her long sleep in the sea. Oh, how I cried. But time he goes so, and I get you. to it. I tried to kill my child on the day he was born. I never want him to know this life to be a slave. But I was not so strong. I cannot make his breathing go. The child, he keep on living. And I get used to living too. I can no more make my mouth know the language of my mother, the language of my mother's people. I can no more make my ear know how she speak. I can no more make my eye know how she look. I cannot cry. I will not die. I am used to this living. If you make it so you can live, and that you do, you get used to it too. If you do not, then you will die.
Hush, little baby, don't you cry. You know your daddy was born to die. All my trials, Lord, soon be over. Religion was a thing money could buy. Then the rich would live and the poor would die.
Stay talk, Lord, I see.
My trials, Lord,
is gefallen.
Soon be over. Too late, my brother. Too late, but never mind all my trials, Lord.
During World War II, there was a sadness hovering around our lives. It was personal, and yet it seemed to come from far away. I'd walk into a room and my mother would quickly wipe away tears. My father hardly sang at all anymore. The center of the mystery seemed to be the mailbox. Edith, any letters today? No, Yankel, nothing, not a word from anybody. The story that perplexed me the most was about a man with a funny name, Ziegelbaum, who escaped from Poland, came all the way to London, and there threw himself from a tall building to his death in order to try to make the world pay attention to what was happening in the camps. Well, as a kid, I couldn't understand that. I thought camps were where children went in the summertime to have fun.
Well, first they tossed our bundles into the cattle cars, then took the small children and put them on top of the piles, and then they forced hundreds of people into each small wagon. Tossed in a few loaves of bread after. Finally put 2 buckets, one filled with water, the other left empty for excrement. Then they slammed the doors shut, bolted them from the outside. In this awful way, we rode for 3 days and nights. It was almost impossible to breathe. 2 of the tiny windows had been boarded over and the other 2 crisscrossed with barbed wire. One could hardly move, but somehow I managed to crawl over to where my mother lay. And I pressed myself against her body. The memory of her body, the way it felt during those last hours of her life, stays with me still. We came down off the trains in Auschwitz to the shrill commands of the SS troops. I did not yet understand the meaning of the tall chimneys that were smoking in the distance, nor did I understand why we were being forced into 2 groups. Judith, our little sister, had her arms twined about mine and that of our older sister, Nanny. Quickly, we beckoned her over to where our mother and grandmother stood. We later came to find that the children and the old people were taken straight to the gas chambers. People call me Ziamale. Little seed, they say. Once I had a mommy. They took her far away. Once I had a daddy. He protected me. Now they call me Little Rag. Because I am a Jew. First, they came for the homosexuals, and I didn't speak up because I was not a homosexual.
Then they came for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I was not a communist.
Then they came for the Jews. I didn't speak up because I was not a Jew.
Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I was not a trade unionist.
Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant.
Then they came for me, and by that time, no one was left to speak. Listen, they tell you today that silence is golden. Feh. Do you know what silence is? Dangerous. Don't say it, bite your tongue, mum's the word. Not me. I say it. Waggle your tongue until the whole world can hear. To quote Plato, who didn't keep his mouth shut, and people are still talking about him, I only think in discourse. So you see, you got to have a platonic nature like I do. I discourse my way through life. Okay, sometimes I admit I talk myself into a purple confusion. That's all right. I am not looking for perfection, only for a way to chew on what life is dishing up. And as you all know, lots of times it is really undigestible. So we have to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk until we do something about it. And then something nourishing can go down. You got it? I deconstruct life with my mouth. Good gesagt.
Well spoken.
Aha, yes.
Hey, they say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom is a constant struggle. They say that freedom. I used to work in the civil rights movement, and one of the places where I worked was in southwest Georgia. There I stayed in the home of a woman named Miss Annie Raines. She had a good-sized farm and was the principal midwife for everyone in her county, white as well as black. Everybody called her Mama Dolly. Well, I've been living right here in Lee County since the day I was born, and good Lord willing, that'll be 87 years on the 26th day of July next. Good Lord willing, yes indeed. So I was already an old woman when the first Jew that I knew of to live in Lee County got here, and the first time he came, he sat right in that chair right there. Yes, he did. Tell you the truth, he looked like an ordinary white man to me. He did. I'd wager you thought he was a white man too, if you had seen him. Tell you the truth, I didn't know they had any Jews left to speak of. Well, beside the ones you find in the Bible. So when Reverend Wells came over here and asked me if I would keep one or two of those Freedom Riders they had coming in here to do that voter registration work, I told him, yes, of course, I'd be glad to. But even so, I was surprised when he brought this young man. So I told the Reverend, I stood right in his face, and I told the Reverend, I did not expect to see no white Freedom Riders coming over here.
Pardon me, ma'am. I'm not white, I'm Jewish.
Oh. Well, it makes a dime's worth of difference to me. As far as I'm concerned, you are the first white person to set foot on my property since 1937. Why, when the high sheriff once he gets a message to me, he puts a letter in my mailbox down on the roadway there. Yes, he does.
Well, what is it that keeps the white folks from coming over here?
That 12-gauge shotgun sitting there by the door. I have another one by the back door and a 30-30 rifle underneath my bed. I clean and oil them every Saturday night. Yes, I do.
Gee, I thought this was supposed to be a non-violent movement.
And we aim to keep it that way, too. Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know that Larry did all that much good work while he was here, but there was some good things to come from him being here. I warrant that, but sometimes it was a sure enough struggle. For instance, on the first day that he was to be here, I got up early in the morning and made a big breakfast for him. I made ham and eggs and grits and gravy and fried apples and fresh milk from the cow, and oh, I made some of my best buttermilk homemade biscuits, and give him some coffee and notice him to be just sort of fooling with it. Finally I asked him, I said, Larry, what's the matter? You don't like soul food?
Gee, excuse me, Mama Dolly, but it looks like everything is cooked in lard. And you see, it's against the Jewish religion to eat pork.
Oh, we got that straight right away. I told him if he's going to have all these special rules about what he can and cannot eat, then he's just going to have to do his own cooking. He got to be right good cook before he left here. Well, being as he was so religious and all, I invited him to go to church with me that next Sunday morning.
Oh, yeah.
So we got up early and went to the new Mount Zion Church. Had a good time down there that day. As I recall, when we walked in, the junior choir was singing Satisfied with Jesus. Oh, and Larry seemed to enjoy that right well. I reckon he thought it was that rock and roll stuff, don't you know? Well, things were going on fairly well until the Reverend started preaching. Reverend Wells got to preaching, and well, he reached a point where he slipped it into high gear and started putting that gravy on. Larry looked at the man like he thought he'd done gone crazy. Then Doreen McAllister got happy. She started shouting. She's shouting. Doreen always shouts when the Reverend starts to preaching. It's all right. No, Larry, you just stay here now. It's all right. She's just happy. Well, on the way home from church that day, Larry had 1,000 questions.
What was the matter with her? I mean, what was she? Looked like she was having some kind of a fit or something.
Oh, Larry, why don't you tell me some of the things that they do at your church, huh?
Oh, well, sure. Well, actually, first of all, we don't call our church a church. Oh. We call it a synagogue. A synagogue.
God?
Oh. Synagogue. And anyhow, Mama Dolly, truth be known, I'm not all that religious, so I didn't go that often.
Wait a minute, Larry. You just told me, how is it you told me that it's against your religion to eat pork? And now you come telling me that you have no religion for it to be against. Now, you just tell me that.
Well, you see, it's because being Jewish is not just a religion. Being Jewish is more complicated. You know, I think you could say that being Jewish is more like a way of life.
A way of life?
Yes.
A way of life. Way of life. Larry, if I wanted to join this way of life, could I do that?
Oh, sure. We got converts. We got lots of converts. Hey, you know Sammy Davis Jr.? He is a convert.
Oh, yes, poor thing. So being Jewish is sort of like being Baptist, you might say.
Well, sorta.
And you all have all different kinds of Jews.
That we do.
Black Jews and white Jews.
All kinds, all colors.
Kinds of Jews.
Right.
And, Larry, I declare, I still can't say I understand what you mean by saying that you are not white. You could go out of here this afternoon and join the new Mount Zion Church, but it would not make you colored. No. No. Larry, seems to me like it does not matter how many different brands of white people you got in whatever countries they come from. When they get to America, it comes down to one brand, white. As long as you have black people, you're going to have white people, and that's just all there is to it.
Wade in the water,
Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. You got to watch these Jews, my friend. They will turn white on you in a minute.
Oh, come on, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I tell you, you people show no appreciation at all. Have you forgotten the entire civil rights movement?
Wait a minute.
We marched with you. We died with you.
No, wait a minute.
What about Goodman and Schwerner?
What about James Chaney? You done forgot all about him, huh? Hundreds of black people get beat up and killed, and all you people can think about is 2 little Jews. No.
Wait a minute, just a touch of reality here. Jews made up 2/3 of the white freedom fighters, 1/2 of the Mississippi Volunteers. They gave 3/4 of the money, and we are less than 3% of the American population. Well, I don't think that is 2 little Jews.
Well, let me tell you something. Those people did not get involved in the civil rights movement because they were Jews. They did it because they were liberals. Well, some of them was even radicals. That's why they did it.
That's right, that's right. For lots of Jews, being liberal and radical comes from and is our religion.
Oh. Well, it seems like your religion has lost a lot of its practitioners here lately. Where are these people at now?
I love it. I really love it. First, you kick us out of the movement with all of your black power stuff. Then you accuse us of abandoning you. Now that is really tricky.
No, wait, no, you are ducking the issue, darling. I'm asking where these people are at now.
And I am answering, darling. Some of them went to where you told them
Where's
to.
that?
Back to work in their own communities.
Oh, come
and
on.
some of them went into peace, ecology, and other progressive
And
movements.
some of them went to these big universities and these big corporations where they climb in the corporate ladder and sitting dead in the door in front of affirmative action right now. I know what's happening.
Okay, some of them did.
All right.
Mainly men.
What?
But what's the use? It's always the same. If it's good, it's not you. But if it's bad, then it's the Jew.
We have got a problem. Brothers and sisters, get around. We have got a problem. Look here. See, the rich white folk think that poor white folk is fools. They tell them Jews are bad because they think they are the chosen people. Call them Christ killers, but not Jesus Christ. He was all right because he was the Jew that got killed. Black people, y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of aggravating little monkeys. You'd probably be all right if the Jew would leave y'all alone. See, nobody red or yellow, brown or white, nobody gives a thought about us till we get to be a problem to them. We want a job, we want welfare, we want to buy stuff on credit and don't want to pay the bill. They want to walk down the street in peace and can't do it because we standing around with our attitudes hanging out. They want a nice clean neighborhood to live in and can't have it because we move in, and when we move in, they move out. We want an education. We want a business. We want a loan. We want affirmative action. We want an abortion. We want free health care. We want equity. We want justice. We want. And ain't nobody thinking about us except there's a problem to them. Well, I tell you what, brothers and sisters, we better start thinking about ourselves.
There's a story that I need to tell now. I don't like telling it. But here it is. It happened a couple years ago when my theater company was having a promotional film made about it. Well, when the shooting was over, the director said to us, now I turn all the footage over to my editor. And then he started singing the praises of his editor, the most brilliant, a genius, the greatest in the world. On and on. Well, anyhow, 2 weeks passed, and we go over to the studio to see a rough cut. And when we get there, a short black man opens the door and lets us in. Well, I was appropriately polite, but I didn't pay any attention to him. And we're waiting in the lobby when the director comes out, makes a beeline for the black man, puts his arm around him and says, this is the brilliant editor I've been telling you about. He knows you guys. He worked with your faces for weeks. Come on, let's go see the rough cut. Well, it was hard to look at the film.
was even harder to look at the editor. But most of all, it was hard to look at myself. Have you heard the expression, self-awareness is bad news? You see, I would have gone to my death swearing that I was not a racist. And yet I just couldn't imagine that the brilliant editor would have black skin.
Bad news, huh? Well, get ready for some more bad news. Well, I used to work at Cornell University. And one of the jobs I had while I was there was to help organize this festival, a performance festival that Traveling Jewish Theater was to participate in. And one day, this lady named Sally, who was also teaching there, stopped me in the hall to complain to me about a problem she was having working out a situation with Naomi, a panel that on women's issues that was going to be a part of the festival. And Sally, now to understand this story, you have to have a picture of Sally in your mind. Do you remember this this comic strip named Blondie? That's Sally. Yeah. So Sally stops me, and I'm in a big hurry. I'm late for a class, and so Sally is complaining about Naomi and this and that and the other, and wants me to intervene. And so Sally, to get away from her, I say to her, well, Sally, you know how it is when you're dealing with these pushy Jewish women. Well, her rhythm changed, her jaw dropped, and she said, well, as one pushy Jewish woman to another, I don't remember what else Sally said that day, but if she hadn't been willing to challenge my expression of anti-Semitism, I don't think I'd remember what I'd said either.
If I am not for myself, then who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I?
What am I? What am I?
Pardon me.
Pardon me.
Would you mind moving over a little bit?
Would you mind moving over a little bit?
Oh, I hate to trouble you, but if you would just move a teeny weeny bit.
Yes, move.
I know you can.
I know you can.
I know you wouldn't want to stand in the way of love
and progress
and growth
and progress
and progress.
And progress.
Now, look here. Be reasonable. Over there.
Over there.
There's as much room as there is over here.
Just as much as there is
and
here.
over there.
Over there.
You wouldn't be blocking anyone.
You wouldn't be in my way.
So come on. Now, if you would just budge a little bit. Come on, budge.
Come on, budge.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
Budge.
I'll tell you what. We'll do it together.
Oh, yes, we'll do it together.
I'm not asking you to do it alone.
No.
No. I wouldn't do that.
Yes,
I'm just asking you to move a little bit.
Budge a little bit.
With
budge.
goodwill.
Goodwill.
You see, I do not want you to do it against your will.
No, not against your will.
No. It's got to be what you want.
What you want.
And if you would just understand
that what I want
is what you want, then you would get the hell out of the way.
Hey.
Yoruba, Igbo, Ashanti, Hausa, Igbo, Fulani, Lenke, Mandingo, Bakango, Ibibio, Izu,
by the waters of Babylon, we sat down and wept when we remembered Zion. We hung up our harps on the willows nearby. Our tormentors, our captors, told us to entertain them. Sing us a song of Zion. How can we sing a song to the Lord in a foreign land?
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home, a long way from home. Do you smell smoke?
Where?
If not, it isn't because a tenement isn't burning down the street in Derry and Beirut and San Salvador. Did you hear a scream? If you didn't, it's not because a woman wasn't raped, since I asked if you smelled smoke.
Boy, the streets are deserted tonight. Where is everybody? I am not going to start taking taxis to get from the library home.
See, the sum of the variations between the norm and the mean divided by the total number of distribution, what's that formula?
What's that man doing? Just keep going. I don't have to cross the street.
The summation of the variations between the norm and the mean divided by the total number of items in the sample is equal to the distribution curve on the normal.
He's so big, and he's acting so strange. I've got to stay calm. Mustn't look afraid.
Oh, Lord, I hope Mike's at home and he's still got the notes from this class. Yeah, man, I know he'd had to have some help to get by out of it. Oh, I wonder who's helping him pay his rent. Look at this.
Damn it, damn it. What did they teach us in that self-defense class? Oh, yeah. Put your fingers together and poke them in the eyes with your nails.
He's picking in the high cotton, living high on the hog. I mean, he's doing it. Man, look at this. I know his folks don't make this kind of money. He's got more loans than I do, and I tell you, the money, it comes high out here.
If he wants my money, I'll just give it to him. I don't care anything about the money.
That number? 365.
I don't know how to.
Well, this is Pratt Drive, but where?
If there's anything.
Oh, maybe this lady knows. Excuse me,
Oh my God,
miss.
coming right at me.
I forgot where the hell I was.
Don't panic for once in your life.
This lady's lost it.
Just hold.
Well, I better not run.
Hold your ground.
No, that wouldn't do.
Come on.
What are we going to do?
You're supposed to scream, not like you're afraid, but fierce.
Oh, Lord,
Find your voice. Find your voice.
Excuse me, ma'am. Do you know where 365 Pratt Drive is?
No.
No. 365 Pratt.
No.
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 No. No. Oh, no.
Wait.
God. Look at this.
What's going on? What's going on? My God.
Oh, here. Come on. Miss Schwartz. Miss Schwartz. Are you in there? The whole place is on fire. Open the back door. I'm trapped.
Go away. I've got nothing left to steal.
Good. Look. Don't nobody want your junk, but I'm trying to get out of here.
I'm telling you, leave me alone. I don't open middle of the night for anyone.
No, look, I'm your neighbor from upstairs. There's a riot going on. You don't smell the smoke?
Oh my God, hoodlums. Oh, hoodlums.
The whole place is on fire.
Another pogrom. The Nazis again.
Open the door for God's sake.
God, why don't you ever do something?
Open the damn door.
So go through the alley. Who is stopping you?
Look, it's just too dangerous out here. The fire's closing in, but we can both get safely out your front door.
Oh, my friend. Oh, no, in the riot, the hoodlums. They'll kill me!
We can get to my car. It's right down the street.
But they're everywhere. Who are you? I don't know you.
I'm Ruth Kingston's son.
Ruth Kingston.
Ruth Kingston.
Ruth Kingston.
You used to fix our clothes up in there.
Fixing 40 years in this place. Fixing for what?
Ruth Kingston. Y'all cooked together. Hell, you came to the funeral.
Ruthie, 10 lifetimes ago.
You played cards together.
Now you make me my neighbor's keeper.
This is crazy.
It's Arthur. Artie, wait.
You gonna make me risk my life?
No, I'm coming.
And you're gonna die up in there.
I'll open.
You're gonna die.
I'll open.
Open the door.
I'll open.
Oh, good. Come on, lady. Come on, Miss Schwartz. Come on.
My whole life.
Come on.
My whole life is in there.
Come on.
My whole life is in there.
It's all right. It's already going down. It's already going. It's all right. Get in my car.
My whole life.
One more story.
Well, there's this woman, and she dies, and she goes into the afterlife world. And when she gets there, she sees all of these people, and they're dressed in beautiful clothes, and they're sitting in front of tables, banquet tables, beautiful cloths on the table, and spread over the tables are delicacies from all over the world, the aromas wafting through the air. She says, "This is great. I've died, I've come to a party, and I don't even have to cook." So she goes closer, and then she sees that the people look really miserable. I mean, strange and miserable, worse than like she's seen in the subways. So she goes closer still, and then she gets it. The people cannot eat, even with all of this food in front of them, because tied to their arms are these long forks and spoons, and they can't get the food into their mouths.
No.
So she goes over.
No, it's chopsticks. They have chopsticks tied to their fingers.
They have chopsticks tied.
Yeah.
Come on, John. It wouldn't work with chopsticks tied to their fingers.
Oh, it's a much better story with chopsticks.
A better story?
Yeah.
Better with chopsticks.
Chopsticks.
Well,
fine.
let's
Just
hear
think of
the
image.
better story with chopsticks. Go ahead. Let me hear it.
Oh, you want me to tell it?
Yeah, better with chopsticks. Why not? Okay.
This
Go
is
ahead.
supposed to be your story.
Oh, no, I don't care. Go ahead. Better. Let's have it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. This guy dies and goes to the
Excuse me,
afterlife.
John, just a minute. You noticed I started the story with a woman. If you change it to a guy, actually you're changing it to a different story, right? Correct? Yes? There's a difference?
Yeah, there is a difference
Good.
between guys and
right.
women and men. Yeah.
So let's just keep it with a woman, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, yes.
Go ahead.
No problem.
All right.
This woman dies.
Right.
she goes to the afterlife and comes to this place and doesn't know where she's at.
That's right.
So she says to this fellow, St. Peter it was, say, hey, St. Peter.
No. She goes over to the angel Raziel. You see, John, she couldn't go to St. Peter because we don't have any saints.
Oh, we don't.
Angels we've got, no saints.
Naomi, you know what?
What?
I think I'm out of line here.
You do?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got a different story in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think,
kind of seems that way.
yeah, you know, women and
Yeah.
men and
Right.
saints
Right.
and sinners.
Right.
So why don't you go ahead and...
That's really okay?
oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
sure?
your story anyway. I mean,
Okay.
I was just trying to help
Well,
out.
I don't own it, but
Yeah.
okay. It's okay if I tell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll just do these people with the upset faces.
Okay. Don't overdo it now, okay? All right. So she goes over to the angel Raziel and she says, where am I? The angel turns to her. The angel says, listen,
What's wrong?
wow.
Did I overdo it?
No, I don't think so. Something just happened inside my head. It was sort of like a clicking of a light bulb going on, you know, like you see in the comic strips. Wow. Maybe we could call it a mini enlightenment. It was like I got something so clear.
You did?
Yes. You could have the very same story with the very same meaning, and it has different details. And it's not the details that count, it's the gestalt of the story that makes the difference.
Wait a minute, gestalt?
Gestalt. It's not a Jewish word, but a lot of people think it is. So, I want you to tell the story. You tell the story because it's the meaning that matters, and I'm going to let go of all the details. Just
And
let them go.
you want me to tell the story?
I do.
And you won't interrupt?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Different details.
Different details, the details don't matter.
Okay.
Okay, go.
All right.
Okay.
So this woman goes to this St. Peter and says, oh, I don't know where I'm at. What's going on here?
That's right.
And he looks at her and says, lady, this here is hell.
That's right.
If you were supposed to be here, you would know where you're at.
Right.
He looks at her and said, wait a minute. What's your name? I'm going to look it up in the book of life.
Hanalea bat Miriam's her name. Hanalea bat Miriam. Well, I don't like to interrupt, but that is her name. And you know what, John? It's not hard to say. You start it in the back of your throat, kind of like you're going to gargle. You go, ha, ha. Can you do that? Ha?
Ha.
Perfect. Perfect. Now just say the whole thing now. Hanalea bat Miriam.
Hanalea bat Miriam.
That's perfectly said. If you put Hanalea in the story with the chopsticks, we'll have a multicultural story, okay? Okay? Is that all right with you?
Multicultural. Huh?
Yes. Okay. Hanalea. You said it perfectly.
Hanalea bat Miriam.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. He says to this lady, looking in the book of life, say, what's your name, baby?
Right.
Hannah, she says. My name is Hannah. My old man's name is Jesse, and I got 3 children. Can you say children?
No.
Jesse Jr., Ida Bell, and Beulah May.
Let go of the details.
And he
let go.
He looked up in the book of life and said, lady, somebody punched your ticket in the wrong place. You're
right.
supposed to be in heaven.
That's right.
He got one of the other little angels standing around there and said, hey, take the book and I'm going to take this lady where she belongs. He took her out these big old doors,
Right.
down this long hall,
What?
up these 77 flights
What?
of silver stairs.
Wait a minute.
On the way.
Wait a minute. What is this endless journey you're taking them
She
on?
ain't got a
They
wings
went
yet.
right around the corner.
They going to heaven.
Right around the corner.
But they go.
Well, but heaven and hell are a lot closer in our tradition.
Somehow I can believe this. They get to heaven.
Finally, they get there.
And the doors swing open.
The doors swing
the
open.
Same smells.
The same
come wafting out.
smells.
The same people.
Same
in
people.
the same kind of clothes.
Same clothes.
The same table.
The same tables.
food.
The same food.
Same chopsticks.
Same forks and spoons.
Only this time.
Only this time, they are feeding each
other.
other. at the welcome table. One of these days, hallelujah, I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. We have a version of that.
I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hinemato shevedamin yahad. Hinemato shevedamin yahad. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. Oh, I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days.